It's only entertainment.
Welcome back to the Talking Hedge. I'm Josh Kincaid, Capital Markets Analyst and host of your Cannabis Business Podcast.
All right, so Chicago.
Yeah, so when I coming to Chicago for the trading show for stock traders, whatever, came out here for Toro alerts, and on a very touristy area called Streeterville. We're at the Navy Pier, and I was expecting a lot of homeless people, man. Like, you see it on the news, like the mayor is like this really intense woman that's doesn't, I don't know, the media makes her look pretty ridiculous, like savage. And there's all this news about how much crime there is. Manhattan, when New York was there a couple weeks ago, nothing. Manhattan was fine. I walked all the way down to Wall Street, was fine. But what you saw, like pandemic times, was everything boarded up and there's bums everywhere and people are looting, and I'm sure they were. I'm sure they probably are. I didn't see any of it. I walked that whole damn borough. So when I was coming to Chicago, I was thinking, shit, I don't know. I don't want to wear a Bitcoin shirt. I might get robbed. But around here, I saw maybe 2 homeless dudes. Like you said, they're incognito, like they're around, but they're just nicer than the Seattle homeless people.
And they
don't notice them.
Way more sober too. But I was walking to the East Bank Club today, and I saw 2 tents under an overpass. And I'm like, wow, 2. But not like, you go to some areas of Seattle and they've taken over a whole park.
Tent cities.
And so I don't know where any tent cities are in the loop, at least. Maybe as you get into certain areas, because like Chicago's sprawling. I mean, past this water, it just is flat forever. And then, Chicago's like that. It's nice. People can be nice, but it's Chicago, and I'm from downstate, so like we think the people up here are just a little bit, they're not as bad as New York businessmen, clearly, but there's a healthy amount of cynicism that won't do you wrong if you have that when you're in a city, and especially if you're going to be talking about the cannabis industry in Illinois. It's not the most open industry. It's one of the least open in the United States. I'd say this top 5, like least open, Florida, and then probably Georgia. And then like Arizona, I would say, is even more open than Illinois, but not by much. I don't think they have that many license holders in Arizona. And then it's probably, it's maybe Illinois or Arizona. That's a coin flip. And then Nevada, because like Nevada actually has more license holders, and Nevada's a smaller population than Illinois. Getting into the industry here, really the only way to do it with certainty is to buy in. But good luck doing that.
And then if you can't get one, then you just sue, right? Isn't that kind of what most people do? If you don't get you're like, because this is a limited license state, is it not?
Yeah, it's a limited license state, and I think all the licenses for the grows are taken now. Even though only 88 of the 150 have been awarded, there's this lawsuit that we're involved in. We represent 6 or 7 of the just wrongly scored. You see the scores, you see what the state did, and you go, well, somebody screwed up. Let's not presume malice where incompetence may explain it. Let's file the lawsuit and see where it goes. And that lawsuit's moving along. I also don't like how when you buy weed in Illinois, and I shouldn't use that word, but like we're going to do a YouTube challenge to see who gets flagged first. I don't like how it was, you can only order from an iPad and you're not allowed to see any of the products except for being on an iPad,
Yeah, that's hard because I'm a visual person, so I want to see the product in front of me. And if I have to go through like a website, whatever, it's not as engaging. So a lot of people are going to miss out. When you go to a grocery store, like how many times do you shop with your eyes?
Oh,
like we always shop with our stomach, in our eyes. And when you can't see that and you got to go on a screen and see a 2-dimensional image, there's a ton of product that are going to get skipped over.
Right. And then the first one we went to, they didn't have any grams. And so you couldn't even just buy like a gram of cannabis to try it out. The only thing that you could get, and the cheapest one that I could find, was an eighth for $55 before tax. And so by the time you get that thing out the door, it's $80.
Crazy.
Yeah. And so like your wholesale price in Illinois is the retail price in Washington State. So in Washington State, you can go to a dispensary with tax, out the door, less than $35, a grade eighth. Here, you can't. How many more growers? And there's only 150 more growers coming online. And at the end, let's see, there's 110 dispensaries, so there'd be 390 more dispensaries. And those are going to be all the locations, and they're probably going to be pretty similar to the experience that we just had buying the cannabis. And it's not really all that great. I mean, you're corralled. You can't go back on the floor after you've gone to buy it. You have to leave through a different door. You know, they march you through. They're required to even like seal your bag before you leave. You're not allowed to see the product. They put it into a bag that you can't see through. They leave, so like you order the product on an iPad, and so when you go to the checkout, you're already pretty much checked out. You just haven't paid for it, and then you wait for the bud tender, which is you know, they really aren't tending any buds, to be honest. They then go into the back where the vault is, a secured access control area, and then they get your order, and then they bring it back to you. They don't show it to you. They just have it in an opaque bag, and they seal it. They pay, and they hustle you out the door.
But it's funny that they seal it because they don't have to, unlike Oregon and Nevada that require a child-proof bag. Here, I've noticed 3 different things that they do. They'll either seal it with like this tape, whatever, or they'll staple it, or they'll just fold it, right? So there's like no rhyme or reason. But I guess you're just trying to be over compliant in case rules come down or whatever.
Well, because this is what they call a merit-based jurisdiction, what they put in their plan was over the top. And they did that on purpose so that they would win and beat out these other people. And then if you put it into your application that won, it's a condition of your license. So like if you said that you're going to go over and above what the regulations say, and you're going to like, you know, seal it, make sure that the person doesn't get it and all that other stuff, you have to do it to be compliant with what you've said to the state you're going to do. That's probably a lot of it. It's just the, like, it's Chicago. I can get a drink at hundreds, if not thousands of locations here. I just walk right in and order one, you know, pretty darn easy. We're at Navy Pier. There's probably a dozen bars here. Interestingly enough, we were at one last evening, and on this at this particular bar in Chicago, on the menu, and like conspicuously on the menu, in the middle of the menu, it says, add a CBD shot, $5?
Yeah.
$5 for a CBD shot. It was maybe like 20 milligrams or something like that of CBD, who knows. And so we asked the guy, it's like, hey, it's just right there. How many of these CBD shots do you do? And it was ridiculous. Like he said, oh, I don't know, about like, what was it, 60 on a heavy day?
I thought he said 20.
20? Oh my gosh, even worse.
Which
like,
sounded like a lot. And then he told us how many drinks he makes.
Yeah, and then he tells us how many drinks he makes. And he goes like, I don't know, 700, 800. And so like out of hundreds of drinks that he makes, this fraction, like, you know, 1% wants this CBD. So it's a complete gimmick. And then now we're drinking 5 milligram sodas with, like, can you imagine if beer that had more than 4% alcohol had to have this? That would be weird, wouldn't it?
So expensive. The packaging on this is ridiculous. It's totally unnecessary.
It's totally unnecessary, especially with the relative harm, if we're being completely honest with our people. The relative harm difference between a THC and an alcohol, night and day difference. One is literally a poison. Your body is going to push it out of itself as quickly as possible. The other one is medicinal properties. But, you know, it's that stigma. And then it's the lack of understanding, and just, you know, they've been lied to their whole lives under the penalty of, you know, federal crimes. Like, arrest you, take all your shit, throw you away for a while.
Halloween's coming up, you know, and so you got to protect your kids because everyone's handing out cannabis and trying to get your kids high, because that's
really
been a thing for a long time.
I thought it was all this rainbow fentanyl. That was
that too. Yeah, because people just give drugs away.
That's right. You know, at least that's what you'd think if you watch the news. And I'm still waiting for all these free drugs, especially after paying like $1 bazillion million. This is all right. I mean, it's fine. I don't know if I'll feel it.
No.
Maybe if I drank all 4, you know?
I don't think 20 milligrams would do anything. I mean, 100 milligrams barely does anything.
100 milligrams barely does anything. That's crazy. That's like hella tolerance. Like
I know.
25 milligrams, 30, I'm in a good place. 50, 60, I'm going to get scared.
Yeah, I need a tolerance break, I think.
Yeah, I need one of those for booze. Wow, I can reseal it. Because that 5 milligrams, I just need to take a break.
So I can taste the
rosemary?
No, I can taste the oil in here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like you can taste. I can taste the cannabis in here.
Nice.
So I'm guessing that they literally just spray this with some kind of water soluble. I don't know. It's almost like it tastes kind of like an oil, so it doesn't taste like a water soluble powder, but I can taste the actual cannabis in it.
Well, it does. It just says cannabis extract is the, and then it has some very small warnings, motor vehicle, like the same type of stuff you'd see on like a bottle of beer that says don't drink this. Yeah, it's interesting.
Inside. There's a whole like mechanism inside too. Like what an
waste. There is a dosage pouring slowing mechanism inside, and that was the other thing. If you go buy a bottle of vodka right now, like a Tito's, something from America, and then you go and buy like a bottle of a Polish or like a Ukrainian or a European vodka, you're going to see regulations at work between the differences in America and the European Union. They have to put a limiting agent on their bottles of liquor so that like if they dump over, they just don't all spill out. It's a timed pour, and they have like these little bubbles into the tops of their bottles. In America, there's no child resistance on a bottle of vodka. You just crack it right open and slosh it out as quickly as it'll pour without unobstructedly from the bottle of vodka. So it's just the hypocrisy of what they do to this plant versus what they allow for ethyl alcohol.
Yeah, I'm guessing that if you were to open this can up and look inside, there would be some oil residue on the side because it's obviously not water soluble. If you can taste it,
it does have a fairly slippery mouthfeel.
Didn't these guys win an award for like best new product or something like that?
They may have, yeah.
This reminds me of like 2015 when people were spraying gummies with THC.
Cute.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you have to remember they have no competition. And so it's really difficult for them to create something that's going to be exceptional. So they can get away with creating anything. Then they have to make it compliant with very silly regulations that we need to revisit. That's one of the nice things about these regulations, though. They aren't set in stone. You can change them. There's processes to change them, but they probably aren't going to change until people come around and are far more accepting of cannabis. But then just walk around in Chicago today, it's random people smoking joints.
That's about to be us pretty soon with this monstrous doobie right here.
Yeah, that's what they call a dog walker.
It's got to be like what, 1/4 gram maybe?
That has to be a 1/4 gram. These are canned social tonics, grapefruit rosemary flavored. 60 calories for the whole can. It's less calories than a beer. We have a backlight problem, but look at that beautiful city of Chicago behind us. We're on Navy Pier. Josh and Tom having a wonderful time in Illinois. So anyway, this is 5 milligrams of THC, and it is child-proof. I don't know how to open this. I've never seen a bottle opener like this. Meanwhile, you can buy a beer with like 8% alcohol that you can just pop a tab open. It's just really like hilarious. So
there's a
shout out to everybody who's tuning in.
3-part instructions.
3-part instructions.
This is pretty serious.
Number 1, pull.
Oh, Jesus.
Hey, that worked. Number 2, slide.
Ooh, do you see that slide?
Oh, look at that.
Here.
Yeah, but be careful, because like
it
may spill.
You see that slide? Oh, it's so sexy.
That's right. All right, cheers.
Ching.
Can of beverages.
Slow down, Tom. That's 5 milligrams.
That must have been like a fraction of a milligram that
Slow
I just
down.
took. Whew. Hey, this is the best, isn't it? Just hanging out, having some brews, in front of Chicago. Remember that one time that we bought weed in Chicago?
I do. I still have nightmares over that. The price, $60 for a half-gram cart.
$60 for a half-gram cart. I bought 1/3 of a gram disposable cart out the door, $50. And so that was including tax. It was $35 before tax. It was like $8 of city tax and $8 of state tax. And then each one of these were $25.
$28.
Or $28 for four, so $7 each. So for $7, you can get 5 milligrams of THC. And then
what a deal!
I know, what a deal, right? And then let's see if we can kind of. There's Josh. Josh is over there, and then we just don't have enough aperture ratio. What's happening, guys? And then and so we bought this weed, or like not necessarily weed, a vape cartridge, and then these cans. And so these were $40 out the door, and so it was 28 before the tax, and then 40 out the door. So I spent $90, and I got less than a gram of weed, and so it was 0.3 grams of an extract plus 5, 10, 20 milligrams. So it was just 4 sodas, so 20 milligrams. So I totally bought 340 milligrams of cannabis, $90.
Yeah. So I went to another shop today. The show was really slow, so it took off. $90 this guy spent for a half gram cart. I think he got 9-pound hammer, an indica, half gram plus a 2-pack joint. So it's probably 2 half-gram joints plus a half-gram cart. $90.
$90.
So by comparison, good news is this is what you all in Illinois and New York and everywhere else can figure out eventually is that prices are going to catch up to Seattle, where Miggy and I are.
Yeah, right. Seattle prices are Illinois' wholesale prices, and so like Seattle has you can buy a gram cart in Seattle for what, $25, $30 more?
For 1 gram, on sale, which sales happen 3 days a week. You could get probably one for under $20 for a full gram.
Wow!
But it's going to be cut with something you don't like, some kind of glycol or cutting agent.
Okay.
So like the live rosin that I like, or live resin, depending on which one you want, you're going to pay like $45 for top shelf for 1 gram.
Wow. $45 for a gram. That is like ridiculous.
So when I was on the plane, I noticed that there was a lot of really old, broken down individuals, and it was like one of the weirdest plane rides where I felt like I was the youngest, most vibrant person on the plane.
Yep.
And I was really surprised, like how many people needed like a wheelchair or whatever. Like it was interesting.
Yep.
What's up with the health? Like Seattle's a fairly healthy place. West Coast is fairly healthy. What's up with the does everyone eat like deep fried pizza, or how does that translate to the edibles game, and what's up with the health in Chicago?
Ditka, sausage, and so they have a style of hot dog, they have a style of deep dish pizza. They also have styles of steaks, and so like there's no shortage of steakhouses in Chicago. And some people have come around. Like I'm a vegetarian, so I can find places to eat much easier than I can downstate Illinois. But wow, yeah, they enjoy crappy food, and they may not work out as much as they should. Some people do, but the vast majority do not, and it shows. And so
I didn't get outside of like Streeterville, but I saw one gym. Like that's not as many as I saw in New York, but New York, like they don't work out in New York. I saw maybe like 3 gyms in all of Manhattan.
Were they all fat in New York too?
No, because they walk everywhere.
Oh no. You take a cab here in Chicago, and so you don't necessarily walk. You call an Uber, and then or you take the L. So that may also explain it. And there are no hills.
No.
Chicago is a very flat city. That might also, but you can hoof it. You could walk 5-12 miles a day in Chicago with to get from the hotel to here to there to there. It's miles all over, but
you don't want to do that in Seattle. There's literally 45-degree angle hills like in Seattle that you don't want to do that.
There you go, and that's one of the reasons why Seattle's healthier in Chicago.
What's up with the lack of people in Chicago? I noticed like at night, this guy was like, "Oh no, you don't want to go to the CBOE, the Chicago Board of Options Exchanges, at night because no one's there.
No one is there. No.
And there's no one anywhere. Like where is everybody? Like you were saying like post-pandemic people just stayed home or what, or moved to Florida or something. Like, where the hell is everybody?
It's work from home still very often, and then they just realize they don't have to come into the office unless they're like in retail, and they actually have to physically be present at the location. So a lot of the service-based employers, they probably still haven't come back completely. And then we did have in Chicago, there was the riots and stuff that, well, I'm not sure if to call them riots or protests or whatever happened in the summer of 2020, where they broke out a lot of windows on Michigan Avenue, and they would just, there'd be organized theft, and that kept people away, I think, and then that's still there. And then they realize that they don't need, because that's a line item that could really be dragging down a business, because that real estate's expensive. And then you realize that line item doesn't really need to be spent. And so a lot of the people haven't come back. For example, one of the lawyers that I used to work with, great guy, but then during the pandemic, many lawyers did the work from home, because think about it, unless you're in court, and what did court do? It became Zoom.
Yeah.
I was in court last month. Actually, it was a couple weeks ago. It's late September. And so Zoom. Mm-hmm. And then the worst part about a Zoom court hearing is Zoom conference calls, you can't really see what other people are, so you can't get the full effect of their body language to determine whether or not they're done. People kind of talk over one another. So it's a little more clunky like that. However, when you look at the cost-benefit analysis, then you don't have to charge your client for going to court, because you sit down, you're in the court hearing, it's over, you hang up, there you go. And then like with a lot of the other stuff, you know, for lawyering or for any really service-based business, if I'm going to do like a financial model, or if you're going to do a financial model, you need Excel and enough screen space and a seat. You could be anywhere, and which is kind of the nice thing. And so my lawyer friend moved to Wisconsin, and they don't require him to come in, but 3 or 4 times a week. So the other explanation of why there just might not be that many people there is they are, but they're cycling in. And so somebody might be there on a Tuesday, but not on a Wednesday. And somebody else might be there on a Wednesday, but not on a Tuesday. Yeah.
Yeah. It seems like Chicago products, you know, back to the dispensaries and or rec shops, whatever, seems like they have very limited product. There's not the 2,000 SKUs you would see in Washington State, but more like Nevada, where you have display cases, just because it's vertically integrated. They only have like their stuff. I'm guessing you don't see stuff from other brands. There's
very often, yeah. We went to Verilife, and then we went to Ascend Wellness, and then we went. And then today he went to Sunnyside, and so Sunnyside is Cresco, Ascend Wellness is Ascend Wellness, and their flower brand is called Ozone, and then Verilife is Verilife, and their brand is called Matter. This is a Green Thumb Industries product, but then it is a licensing deal because they didn't make can. This was something made out of California. And that's really it. But you have to remember, there are only 21 producers in the whole state of almost 13 million people. 21 cannabis licenses make every SKU. Yeah. So that's one of the reasons why there's not product diversification.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you have to order everything on that laptop, or tablet. So not only do you have like very limited things to look at, you have limited options, which for tourists it's great because they don't know. But I think it's got to change. I mean, these limited license states that are vertically integrated aren't doing their customers a favor. And so when these people do go in and travel and try their things, they're going to come back and be like, "Oh, I want this thing I had in Washington State, or I want a full gram of oil and not pay $70." So you know, tough shit. You're gonna have to wait a couple years.
Yeah,
but getting
I thought they were like, it was. We saw they can evidently in Illinois have full gram carts. We saw one yesterday. It was $90.
Yeah,
but I think
it was on sale.
It was on sale for $75.
Yeah.
This is pre-tax, and then extracts have the highest tax. So
Really?
it would have been interesting to try to check out on that one just to see. I bet that thing was over $100.
Wait a second. So you're going to pay a different tax rate on flour than you would extracts?
Yeah, it
What's
depends.
the difference?
THC content, and so like beverages and extractables, edibles, they have a different level of tax, and then there's 2 levels of tax based on THC concentration. It's 35% or lower, aka flour, is taxed at X. I can't remember off the top of my head. And then extracts, 35% THC or greater, is taxed at Y, the highest amount of tax. So when you buy a vape in Illinois, you're going to pay the most tax.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, all in all, it kind of feels like a fairly normal rollout of what I would expect from a conservative market like Arizona. You mentioned, I think the interesting difference down the road when we see sales, some sales data, will be how conservative are they. I think Illinois, I'm gonna say that, and I'm just guessing here, but I'm gonna say that Illinois is not as conservative as Arizona. I'm guessing that they're gonna sell more pre-rolls here, and they're gonna sell more vape carts here than Arizona. Arizona's all about vape carts for the
soccer moms.
Yeah, they just don't want it to smell, so they want to be conspicuous, whatever, inconspicuous.
Yeah, the conspicuous smokers, they go with the loudest pre-roll they can find.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll have to see what the numbers look like. Headset's got some that are going to be coming out here in a couple of weeks, so we'll see what those sales look like.
I'm glad the Headset is publishing something, because Illinois does not publish data. Illinois publishes raw data, like just a lump of it, and so they go, we sold this much last month, this much to out of state, this much to in-state, end of the data analysis. And so the guy can never use Illinois data to create models. I'll go to Washington State data. Washington State publishes a great plethora of data. Michigan, I can go to Michigan data. They publish a great amount of data too. I've really never looked into Colorado, but a lot of the models that are done come out of Colorado for obvious reasons. It's one of the first markets.
Yep. Yeah, so I talked to some bud tenders and people that were working in the shops, and it seemed like everyone's favorite was flower, and then asking what's the number one product being sold. It's always either pre-rolls. Gummies are up there. I did talk to a couple of people at what was it? Not Ascend. What was the other one?
Verilife.
So I went to Verilife, and there was some people there that were one gal liked concentrates, and another guy liked hash. So I was like, oh, that's unique. I don't get many people who say they like hash. It's more of a connoisseur product. And he's like, yeah, I've been growing for a while. So he's not your average bud tender who gets into the industry, and then quits 6 months later.
Yeah, well, this industry is one of those things where it has the perception of wealth and cool. And then the people get into it and they're like,
it's
man,
retail.
This is just another bullshit corporate gig.
Yeah. It's just like retail. There's no difference between that and McDonald's, in my opinion.
Man.
Yeah.
Well, at least McDonald's is like killing people, and this is helping people.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, how many milligrams of sugar are in here versus THC?
Well, you see, that's the thing. There are 15 grams of sugar, and so you have to multiply that by 1,000. So there's 15,000 milligrams of sugar and 5 milligrams of THC.
Great.
I've already finished mine.
Yeah. We haven't finished?
That pre-roll.
This thing is monstrous.
That's what we call a dog walker.
I don't know if you can see all of this because it's so big.
This might be like a third of a gram.
It's just so big. Look at it.
This was a $20 pre-roll in Illinois. I'm kidding.
It's as big as a skyscraper.
That's right. It is to scale.
It's crazy. So we're gonna it's gonna take us a long time to burn this down.
Yeah.
So we're just gonna go right out here in the water and test this bad boy out.
Yep. All right. Thanks for stopping by for our little diatribe on how to buy cannabis in Illinois.
All in all, would you recommend it?
I would recommend these. Yes, I would say if you could figure out how to make these cost, how much does a beer cost? If I go buy a sixer of high quality beer in Illinois, it's $10, 10 to 12 because inflation. And so if they can get a sixer of this down to $12, there you go. But I don't know if they will.
It's not a bad flavor, but like I said, if you were to take this off, I'm guessing that there'd be a ring, and so you're really only getting like 2, maybe 3 milligrams, because the rest is still on the inside of this, which goes back to like 2016 in a normal market. Washington hasn't been doing like that in a long time because they figured out how to emulsify it, how to blend it. And these guys are just literally squirting oil in a can. I think that's what it tasted like on my palate. Maybe I'm wrong. But I don't think I would recommend this. I think it's expensive. It's 5 milligrams. There's a ton of sugar in here, and I don't think they're doing it right. But if you want to try it, it's not a bad taste. Yeah. So, you're an adult. Do what you want.
It says powered by Source, and Source is spelled wrong. But I bet if we looked at that, then we'd be able to see what methodology they use to inject the cannabis oil.
Yeah. Somebody do the work for us. Post in the comments.
That's right. Leave it in the comments. We appreciate you doing the work we didn't do, as we did a presentation you tuned into. And thank you. Don't forget to likes and subscribes. And then tell all your friends about us, especially at family gatherings.
All right.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, it was nice to try something new like that. Like I had heard about that product, and I figured, but 40 fucking bucks, because like you factor in the tax, this is a $10 buzz. That's a shitty $10 buzz. And I realized that I'm in Chicago, so like every beer is a $10 beer. Still. Bag smells like bagels.
It's not a bad smell.
No, my girlfriend's like, hey, don't forget to bring me some bagels. All right, sure. Get you some bagels, huh?
I got a whole bunch of bullshit from this one store, like vegan and gluten-free goodies. Normally, I don't buy like sweets and stuff, but fuck it, I'm hungover. Let's do it.
Yeah, I started my day with Stan's Donuts and a big thing of coffee, and I was just exhausted, from all the work that the walking that I did.
God damn, I'm so hungover this morning. Way too much wine.
Yep, I had a nice one as well. I'm glad that I did have at least some water.
Yeah, tried.
With that, we're going to roll this one up. I'm Josh Kincaid. This is The Talking Hedge. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, or don't, and I'm out. Don't forget to smash that like button on your way out and check out these other videos that we've got.